No, chief.
5:30 in the evening. This is the monthly Board of Directors meeting of the Netarts-Oceanside Sanitary District. This session is being recorded. Calling the meeting to order. The first item is approval of the agenda. I have a motion to approve the agenda.
No. I'll second that.
Discussion.
Seems like a good agenda.
If there's no discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous among the four of us. No guests, no public comments, board questions, comments, or discussion.
I had a couple. Might have discussed this last meeting that I missed. There was a cybersecurity consultant that I think was going to show up that you two are going to talk to. What was the outcome of that?
Go ahead.
As far as I know, well, she came in, we sat down for, well, almost probably 2 hours or so in here with Dan and myself and discussed the matter and tried to bring her up to speed. Well, I think we did to a degree on what our business was about. She took a fair number of notes. I sort of expected some sort of report, and as far as I know, we haven't heard any more.
Said she was going to send us a report.
Right, and I have not heard any more.
Okay.
We,
The same outcome I had 5-6 years ago. I did the same thing with them.
So
We
they,
took
they
the
talk a
next
nice talk and then they're
initiative,
It's kind of a nice bill.
and then heard no more.
Yeah.
I think there was,
I think there was a misunderstanding of how they present what they do versus what they actually do.
Yeah.
And it's not really the type of cybersecurity that we require.
Yeah.
So we're like way down here. She was.
So there are issues that we have paid attention to, and if there are vulnerabilities, I would like to know about them. But
I know the impression we got at the conference was that they would delve into
yeah,
whatever organization you're with and really look at
yeah,
issues, but it didn't seem like that was the way she was going.
okay,
I didn't think that she had a lot of dollars. So if anything,
Yeah.
it seemed like she was more after the large power grids.
Yeah.
Some of the larger
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Water.
Yeah.
But in a large scale.
Yeah.
Federal large scale.
yeah.
And
Although she was presenting at a special district conference, that we're not the smallest special district out there.
yeah, yeah. And the impression I got, it would have taken a significantly longer time to really educate her
Mm.
on what goes on and what the interfaces are within the organization.
Yeah, and how much of it is available
Scattered
for
and all the other.
operators remotely and blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
A lot of stuff that she was explaining to John and I didn't even pertain to us.
Yeah.
Didn't apply.
Yeah. All right. Well,
There was a lot of sales pitch in there too. To you.
I apologize for encouraging us to do that if it wasn't worthwhile.
Well, we both did. I mean, but we had greater expectations, and I think Dan, from his prior experience, his expectations were just a little lower than ours.
Yeah.
Well, I'd been through it. You guys
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
The other question I had in the SDAO magazine, there was a thing about a April 24, 20 27 deadline to get websites accessible on mobile devices and so forth and so on. I'm sure you're aware of those deadlines. I've never heard us talk about them. What's the sitch?
It's the creation of an app, basically an app.
So our Streamline, who we do our website through, they make us compliant. So they're doing all of the changes necessary
Okay.
for everybody who has them to be compliant. So, and as of right now, we are up to date.
Okay.
Is that a state law or is
It's a
that
federal
something
law.
that SDAO is required?
No,
Well, there's both. There's state
Oh.
and there's federal.
Yeah. There was I think a recently passed federal requirement. I don't know if it's a law as much as a directive from a department, which might just get rescinded now that we have a new
We
administration.
pay Streamline $200 a month and they keep us compliant. They keep our website
Okay.
up. Somebody needs, say they're blind and they need,
Right.
that's available on it.
And it works on a mobile phone as well, or I've never tried.
I've never tried it either. But their assurance it does.
Yeah, okay.
So
Yeah,
I have tried, it does work.
it does. Cool.
you would.
And both JC and I, we did a training just recently
And
over it, where
is-
they made us aware of what changes were coming.
and is that also true of our billing site?
It's through the same,
Same.
it's linked
Yeah,
okay,
together.
All right. Just, I read about it. I was like, I don't know. I'll ask. I'm sure they have an answer. And you did. So thank you.
Right. Any other questions or discussion at this point? Next is review of the minutes of December 19, regular board meeting minutes. Motion to accept the minutes.
So moved.
Second, John. Discussion or review.
I appreciated reading them. And there were things that came up here that came up in your report this time that I still have questions about.
Okay.
And we were already touching on that a little bit earlier about control panels and stuff. I'm like, what? I don't understand. But
I will say this, it's a good size, shiny looking aluminum box that looks really nice with dials and electronic
over in that-
windows
Yeah.
on the outside, and then you open it up and it's full of spaghetti and wires.
Stainless steel.
Excuse me, stainless steel, I'm sorry.
all right.
If there's no other discussion, all in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
All right.
Aye. December 31st, 2024 financial statements for review of all funds. Motion to accept the financial statements.
I'll move to accept financial statements.
Second,
Second.
discussion.
On page 4, on the disbursements, if there's a future Avalon where there's a $3,595.50 spent to date, but the adopted budget and the balance are the same.
Oh,
Okay.
that is all.
What are we looking at here?
On
Page
page
4,
4,
Check.
under disbursements. Third line down.
yeah.
Okay.
And then if you look at, there's an expense, but there's $700,000 on both sides on the adopted budget and the balance. So the balance doesn't reflect
With
the expense.
expended 3,500.
That's the only thing I noticed.
Good catch.
Yeah.
All in favor of accepting the financial statements with the one modification to page 4 disbursements, say aye.
Right.
Aye. Next item is December 2024 audit accounts payable.
Straightforward.
If there's no questions, the next item is district report.
So on the top, it's normal, we're still well within compliance. We had a little bit of a rough time due to the extreme high flow changes and low flow. But other than that, the treatment plant took it well. The Oceanside Hotel project, I've been getting my information off of Jerry's articles. That's the
And
most,
Jerry's articles reflect what I know.
yeah, so that's where I get my information on these projects now.
No, that, I gave you the last information I had.
Yeah.
He claims that they're going to come back with a completed, what their initial stab at it, and I won't draw this out, but they took a lot of shortcuts based on the fact that they thought they didn't think they had to justify a hotel from scratch because there was already a hotel there. And the county said that was so long ago, you need to treat this as a new project in terms of justifications and explanations. And
Reassurance that the place isn't going to slip off into the sea.
well, even on less exotic things than that, impact, things like that, they were like, well, it's gonna have the same impact that it had before.
Yeah.
So they're not happy. They didn't think they would have to do that, but they claim by February, they're going to submit a completed letter. They're, I'm just gonna wait and see on that.
Yeah.
I took him at his word. He said he'd call me. I will call him in 2 weeks just to say, hey, what's going on? You can read about it in the Oceanside.
And we know nothing about the other project.
Yeah, we know that it's done in terms of
Yeah.
their first application, but no, we don't know anything about them.
Yeah, we don't
Coming
know
back.
if anybody's thinking he's submitting anything.
When they had their first meeting with utilities to look at requirements, and a lot of things were raised they didn't realize they were going to have to deal with. They started making some noises about, well, maybe we'll just have to build row houses. So somewhere in the back of their mind, they think they've got a fallback of just building single family row houses along there, or it's a commercial district. So I mean, whatever they think they can do, or maybe to rent them out like a hotel. But anyway, that's when I tell people that is all I know about that they had a fallback. I don't know how serious it was, but so far there's no noise. no word from anybody. I was gonna call their PR person, but, I didn't care enough. It's like, just let it go.
Have you heard anything about the Darrymore?
I heard that they're gonna sell it.
It's the same outfit.
Yeah.
It still is.
Yeah, Fusion, yeah. I
Okay.
heard, I think I heard it secondhand, but. I heard
Yeah,
they put it on the
that's all
market.
I've heard.
So no, I have not seen anything firsthand from them. I have no idea why or.
I know we at one point wanted to wait until we had both projects in hand before we updated Oceanside Pump Station, but I don't at this point think we're gonna have that luxury.
This is Dan. So, yeah, I don't have the engineers working on anything right now. I just stopped. There's no need for us to accrue an invoice on something that we don't know.
Yeah.
We do have some preliminary fixture flow numbers from the House on the Hill project. Last request, the one at the cabins, was if they could go get rid of all their lateral hookups and go to one. Well, we can't make a determination unless we know what they're building, what their flows are gonna be. She was supposed to get back to me, but that's been over a year. So I have West Tech not even looking at that anymore, not until we get something substantial.
No, just keep it on hold.
Yeah. So the next is the Netarts Water District. You have something do you want to do that now?
I think you already have a little bit of the information here. I had, as you'll note in the email, talked to Mr. Vincent on the 25th of November very briefly. He gave me his personal email address and said, my understanding was that we would get back in touch after the first of the year. And so I did so a couple of days ago. And I had tried to find out if anything had occurred on their end, spoke to Dan and also to the fire chief. He had had some issues, but they were totally separate from the type of issue that we have. In any case, I then followed up with the email because after reviewing, this was their latest minutes that I attached and highlighted the part that concerned us. I don't remember that at all in the conversation prior to his meeting. It was very brief and it was out in the front foyer, not in the back where their conference room is. But anyway, it's, maybe I just didn't remember. And I checked my account this afternoon and I haven't heard anything back yet. So I don't know. I assume he's seen the email. And I assume he may be going back to his board. I don't know, to discuss further. But as you probably know, I tried to say that we prefer not to be considered a normal customer. So anyway, I just wanted to share that so you know where we're at. Any questions?
They're looking for someone who, if they hire them, it's going to be a person over the person that you're dealing with now, right?
You mean the manager?
Yeah, are they looking for a new, basically chief boss for the district?
I think so.
So and I don't want to draw it out. If that's true, then someone may come in that has a different approach or will lay eyes on this and may come at it a different way.
Our understanding of it is that one of their, I don't know whether it's new or recent board members has raised concerns about the amount of water that flows through the system that basically is unaccounted for. And it wasn't necessarily us, but just what I guess you could consider to be their losses. So I think, we were probably caught up in it with this other discussion they had. At least that's my understanding of the discussion that they had, that one of their board members is very interested in tightening up their, accountability for water usage. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Just Dan, so my interpretation of the water district to the sewer district was a conversation I had with Debbie Hess, their office manager, and direction under one of the board members, wanted me to produce documents or any type of agreements, why we pay a half a fee, why we have the rate we have here. We don't have any of that. It's always been, you know, whatever the water district had set. What we can't do, and why I'm pushing for the IGA, the intergovernmental agreement, is we had permission to use water as we have since I've been here, last over 20 years. And we just kind of track it, so we let them know how much we used to clean the sewer lines in Netarts. They are now applying policies and want us to charge it after the fact. So if they are going to have a fee scale, we need to know what that is and agree to it. And not just wait for somebody to go in and tell the office you need to bill them for whatever water they use.
Yeah, legally, what we have is 20 years of documentation of them billing a certain amount and us paying it. And that creates evidence of an agreement, and that changing it needs to be changed in some official way. We don't have to have a written contract about that. If we've been doing it for 20 years, course of conduct will establish something that they have to revise.
So as far as this treatment plant, he was really concerned, why do we have a special? I think the term he used was, why are we getting a public utility rate and not paying a full rate? I didn't know how to answer that.
Because we're
a public utility.
But that was set at the Netarts Water District, not at NOSD.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how they came up with the rate for us for this treatment.
And that's the answer. You tell us.
Yeah.
You've been doing this for 20 years. And if you're going to change it, then we need to have a talk about how that's going to happen. But don't tell us we've been getting some kind of a sweet deal for 20 years when you've been on the other end of this and it's been a two-way street.
From my opinion, as soon as I mentioned an IGA, all this stopped. They didn't want to go in to an intergovernmental agreement, but we can't budget if we don't know what it's going to cost us every time we hook to a hydrant to fill our jet truck, or, jet truck. So
I don't want to be a
we
lawyer.
need an IGA between the two districts, just so it has the documentation that their board is asking for anyway.
Yeah.
And it's really a cleaner way to do it. And we have one with Tillamook County Public Works when they need to use our cameraman for inspection of their culverts or something like that. So it's not like we don't have them already.
I think they've been advertising for the general manager position, which I'm thinking in the interim, it's being filled by Tracy Bean. But because it's a job that's $80 to $1,000 is what it's advertised as.
100,000.
And I don't know that they are in the position to add an additional layer over Tracy Bean and add that cost.
Tracy Bean she's the one filling, that's her position, and she wants to.
Okay. So, and I don't know that it's the general manager that's applying the pressure. I think it's coming from somebody on the board.
Well, they've lost water. I mean, some of their main lines may still be wood. I don't know if you guys have ever found it, but I know they do exist. So
Their main lines,
there's some, yeah.
they have leaks. And
Right.
it's not abnormal for a pressurized, all your water systems are pressurized.
Absolutely.
So you're always gonna have probably leaks that you're gonna have to constantly chase down. So you're always gonna lose a certain amount of water.
They haven't really kept up with that. investigative.
Well, their previous,
Thing.
water master did a lot of the construction himself
Right.
and locally and not really engineered. That's where we fall into issues when we have to ask for a locate. That the locates sometimes are not accurate. They go off old lines that have been abandoned. Things like that. So the reason I'm,
Not just us.
yeah, so I don't know the procedure. Do we request and we start the procedure for the intergovernmental agreement? It's them charging us, so I would think they would do the draft with the fees that they want to charge for water usage and labor to open the fire hydrants. We'd have something to discuss or negotiate or something. Because I don't think we can write it up.
We could write
I
up,
don't know which policy they're going to apply.
I mean, we could write up an intergovernment agreement that just formalizes what we have been charged in the past and say,
We've never been charged until this last time.
right,
We've never been charged. And the policy that they did highlight doesn't really apply
Yeah.
to what we do. It applies for like a single family dwelling or something like
and
that.
we paid the bill.
Yes. I got mixed signals, pay it, don't pay it. Like first one was, well, $82 isn't gonna bankrupt you.
Right.
Okay. But then I also was told, well, don't pay it till after our next board meeting. Well, now 2 board meetings have gone by
Yeah.
and I wasn't gonna sit there and hold the invoice till
Yeah.
it started accruing late fees.
But you've got in writing that we're trying to get this figured out, so they're gonna say that we've agreed to anything by making that payment. We were just keeping from
Right.
having a past due account. Okay.
Can I back up for a moment? I'm sorry. Could you explain TSS again? Because I noticed from last month's report, the TSS went from, what was it, 4 to 11 milligrams?
That's what I said earlier, the total suspended solids
Right.
was due to the high flow. Yeah, we actually exceeded the plant design.
Exceeded, okay.
Yeah, so it makes everything turbulent,
Okay, all right.
puts the treatment plant in storm mode. It does a bunch of changes. So that's the shock to the plant that you're seeing there.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, on the pump station, on number 2, the first one's the Cummins generator. I did attach the chain of emails. As you read, I got a phone call from Old Dominion Freight Lines today to deliver 2 pallets of Cummins product to us, the 21st. I have an email now back to Cummins, to all of them, asking, what are you sending us?
Yeah, that's right.
We just had a no delivery.
Right.
And of course, the one that apologized that she'd been on PTO time, or him, I don't know, they, whatever, on PTO time. Now I sent out that after this phone call today and got the same automated response off on PTO time. This is the one that's in charge at Cummins. That's it. Well, not in charge of Cummins, but the one that's overseeing.
That they gave the account to, correct?
Yeah. This is the one managing that account for our generator.
And so but the generator would be more than a pallet.
Well, the generator, it's called palletized, but the
Okay.
scheduler couldn't tell me if it was a 8-foot wide pallet or if it was, a 4-foot wide
Okay.
pallet. All she knew was we have 2 pallets. I'm assuming one would be the generator and one would be the muffler system, because the muffler system is quite large. Okay. But I'm only assuming here what these pallets are. They could be showing up for something else. We're having multiple generators worked on at once.
Right.
You've seen. So the freight company doesn't know. And I haven't gotten a response back of what are you sending me?
Yeah.
What is coming here?
Should
You would
come with
think,
an invoice.
yeah, you would think that when they knew they were putting something into the freight line, they would have
In the
got
chain,
in touch with you and told you that it was.
in the chain emails that you have, you
Yes.
saw where I've been
Yeah.
told twice.
Yeah,
Absolutely, you know, I've requested twice to be updated
Yeah.
when it's changed. And twice I
I
got
did.
absolutely, and twice I've got no update.
I did see that.
Yeah, so now I get an update from the freight company, delivery.
Yeah.
You know where that was?
The-
Where the freight company?
Well,
was calling from?
it's, no, I don't know where they were calling from. I don't know where their dispatch center is. I'm going to make an assumption, since it's gonna be delivered on Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's probably in Portland or somewhere
Oh.
close to there.
Okay.
The freight company, because we either have to have a forklift or, so it's something large. Want to know if we have a dock or a forklift?
Oh,
We have a forklift. So. I won't know.
We'll find out.
I won't know until they open it, unless Cummins gets back a hold of us. I won't know until they drop it off. The next one, do we just skip over that on the clearing for the main pump?
That's for.
Hey.
That's for.
That's for,
Okay. So on October 11th, Cape One Pump Station had pump failure. That pump has been rebuilt and has been reinstalled. Cape One is fully operational now, and the pump that had the short power cord is over at Xylem right now, having the correct one put on at no cost.
So that in the future, should we ever need to do that again, the cord will be the right size.
I would hope so. This is the first time they've ever done that. I mean, to be exactly 10 feet off,
Yeah.
I just assumed somebody measured once and cut once.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So on November 25th, our main pump station control panel, we thought had failed. And Xylem came out, two of them came out. They put us in a temporary loaner control panel. Then just a few days later, or a few weeks later, then our plant effluent pump station did the same thing. We had, Brian and I were on a Teams meeting with Xylem and with representatives from Xylem and from the automation group. I refer to them as TAG. And found out that the controllers were fine. We just had to reboot the PLC in a certain sequence.
He told us this last month.
yeah.
Oh, okay, I did. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So right now, we have to get the automation group back out here with Xylem back here to remove that
Loaner.
loaner. We're not being charged for the loaner, but I've got to pay TAG to come back out because they have to reconnect our SCADA system back up to the original control panel. It's disconnected and configured with IP addresses, as you can imagine, for this new controller, but it won't, we have to, like, TAG's gonna have to reconfigure it back the way it was.
Didn't, when you
Any
say that,
suggestion that they should pay for that too? If they're not charging us for the use of the loaner, that's because we didn't need it. So we also didn't need the unhooking and rehooking.
Right, they came out for an emergency basis at no charge because we were running off just probes and the pumps were on and off all the time. So they did that as a favor, I guess you can say, because they're having a new control panel they built for us for Ocean Islands. It's just, it was way more complicated than they'd explained with just hooking up the loaner. And so we had the automation group here because we were told it was a plug and play. Well, it's not exactly a
Right.
plug and play.
Mhm.
And right now, Xylem is telling us that it's TAG's fault. TAG is telling us it's not our fault, it's their fault for not giving us the information.
How much is it gonna cost to do this reconnecting, reprogramming?
I haven't even got the invoice for them coming and connecting yet. So I would assume it would go quicker. We had them here for the automation group. We had them here for almost 8 hours. So I would assume that it wouldn't take that long. But then again, I'm just telling you an assumption. I don't know how difficult it is to reprogram it back. I did talk to the owner, which you met, Gary. He said that we already have your settings in our system. So it sounds like to me, it would be fairly easy on their side, depending on how much hardwiring there is, moving your ports from one connection to another.
And
So
and why is it called tag?
the automation group.
The
The
automation
group.
Okay, gotcha.
It's just easier to say tag or just
I-
about automation.
All right.
that, I had that, that light bulb last month. It's like, oh,
I don't know whether it was just explanations you gave to me or whether you talked to the board about which way to go as far as Xylem equipment versus tag equipment. I mean, remember,
Didn't
we
we?
had some,
we talked about
About
it
that
last
last
month and he said he had to do investigation.
Yeah,
He
so-
laid that out in great detail.
yeah,
afterward.
yeah, good.
So when we order these panels, I order them as a complete unit to replace, come out, unhook the other one because we have a short amount of time we have to schedule. So I have to have either trucks or alternate way to run the pumps until it's done, because you have to shut the power on. And this is the third panel. We're on the third panel right now from Xylem. They tell me they're plug and play. They're not. They are not. I've discussed this with our engineers. They're having the same issues. And they're plug and play for strictly Xylem equipment. Okay. And not so much anybody else's. Our NPDS permit issued by DEQ states we have to have SCADA, operating telemetry system. So even though they can get our pump station operational, we then operate blind. We won't know what's going on with it if something happens in the middle of the night.
With Xylem's outfit.
Well, yes. So basically what we're doing, and this is what came out in our teams meeting, we're paying for 2 control units that we don't need. We only need 1. And the proprietary one that's provided by Xylem, problem is they change their controllers every few years, and they do not support the old one that they've already sold you. They're obsolete. Where if you go with a non-proprietary, you go with basically parts that are off the shelf that anybody, according to what they're telling me, anybody could program, because we'll own the program, we'll own the equipment. Right now, with Xylem being proprietary, if you want to change something in that control module, you have to call them, they have to log on to it, and they have to, or come out physically, make our changes. Through the one that the automation group offers, you get all the codes, you get everything. So if you say the automation group went out of business or was bought out, any company you go to after that, you can give them the information that you own, and they can make any changes or updates or upgrades.
Yeah, you went through that last month,
Right.
and then you were doing due diligence about whether, because there were some other issues that might not be great going with the
Yeah.
non-proprietary. And
Yeah,
I assume
because
you're still involved in that, right?
Correct, because yes, and Brian and I will be at West Tech tomorrow to meet with electrical engineers and everything about the trend of getting away from proprietary systems. So that will happen tomorrow. But what we've learned since last month, what I was worried about was kind of like putting all your eggs in one basket, depending on this company to do it all.
And then they get bought by Xylem.
Yeah. Or, in this case, what if Xylem sells off this other portion, and then where are you at? So we needed something that's a proven controller that is more generic and not just specialized to one manufacturer. What Xylem has done, in my opinion, is they pretty much pushed us away from their products, except for their pumps. I'm not talking anything about the flight pumps, but their control units are are specialized. And so what we're paying is we're paying the automation group who builds the panels and the controllers to all work when it shows up here. Right now, our new control panel for Ocean Highlands, I had Xylem, when this all came about these control panels, I had them send it to the automation group so they can get our SCADA working on it in their shop before they bring it out, which will expedite the installation and all that. So Xylem, I found out, and the automation group had a falling out a few years ago. Xylem got into control panels by themselves, and now they look at the automation group as a competitor. So we're still working through this, but I don't think we'll have any more controllers built or buy our control units from Xylem after this one. The panel's already built. We own it. We already agreed to buy it. I'm not happy with them for not explaining to me that the automation group, what they refer to as their SCADA system, not being compatible. Xylem built, TAG built our control panels for this new treatment plant and everything, back in 2010, 2011, when we were constructing this, but they were working with Xylem. They worked together, they R&D'd them together. That's why when everything showed up here, it worked seamlessly. It came online and we virtually had no problems. They had a little fine tuning to do, but that was about it. Since then, there's been a split. So now I have to decide which split to go with. And I think the automation group is the one that we need to go with. But like I said, I will confer with the engineers tomorrow.
Where I'm stuck is, number one, it seems like, that replacing so many at the same time, it seems like. In this situation where they don't work all that well, time-wise. And that if they're gonna be obsolete, I mean, it just doesn't even seem right. I mean, it's like some kind of crooked deal.
So Xylem's a large multinational conglomerate. Okay, so they buy and sell other companies, easily. And the problem is they're always developing something new. Okay, so we can't standardize anymore like we used to. We can't standardize. When we try to standardize with Xylem with their proprietary controllers, we just did the one at Netarts pump station in 2021.
Right.
And it's already obsolete. They only have 5,000 units left of those.
And he told us he had a conversation with them where he isn't happy about that.
I know.
They know we're not happy, and now we're looking at going with someone else.
Yeah.
So are you looking for like a pound of flesh? Or what more? do you
No,
want?
it's just so much money, man.
Oh, I agree.
And
Absolutely.
from my world, I'd struggle with it. I do. It's just the way it is.
I struggle with it because each
And
one,
I'm not, Dan, I don't
No.
mind, you're doing everything right.
well,
And so don't misinterpret my feelings here on it. Just,
I suffer the same frustrations. These guys, when they go out at night, suffer the same frustrations because they don't know just to get a battery backup anymore if Xylem still makes that same one.
right.
So we have to, and Xylem knows it's coming. I've been directed. You can't keep changing controllers. I said, I've got board and I've got ratepayers I have to watch out for, and your stuff is not supported. We don't get 10 years anymore. We used to get 20. As technology changed, it was down to 10. Now we're lucky to we can't even get 3.
That's like 10,000 a year or more, right?
Well, and that's,
Oh, it's more than that.
it's just a shakedown ultimately.
It's adhesion.
There you go. That's the word I was looking
Uh,
for.
that they want you in the newest tech, and from their point of view, that's lovely, but we can't afford.
And you're forced
That.
into it.
They won't support the old stuff.
Yeah, I know, but we can't afford that. So we need another solution.
Yeah, and that other solution.
Yeah.
And our engineers are pushing me to go that way too. they're getting away from their designs pump stations into proprietary control.
Yeah.
City of Salem did away completely with everything with proprietary control. So
It makes sense to me.
the pumps will stick with the controllers. We need to do something that's more cost friendly.
Yeah.
The automation group builds theirs with off the shelf parts, what they call it. You know, I did find out from the automation group, they might have some spare parts for our APP controllers.
What's APV mean?
It's what it says on the panel, APP.
Yeah.
It's whatever Xylem named them at that point.
Oh, okay.
And at that point.
You had a
they
note
made
here
those
at one
in
point that said
Xylem.
both were APP panels, and I was
Yeah.
like, well, what does that mean?
So in the original project of this treatment plant in 2012, all the controllers were APP
Yeah.
that was put in. And those were flight proprietary controllers that were R&D with the automation.
Which Zion bought.
Xylem bought flight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now, and I do understand from the local guys, we don't control what the corporation does.
Of course not.
We only have whatever they give us. And they don't let us know that, hey, we're already changing this. So.
Yeah.
To save money, we're gonna have to go the other way, because right now we're paying 2 panel companies to basically double down.
To
on the
argue
same-
with each other.
Well, but the problem is you're buying 2 controllers, which I
Yeah.
didn't understand.
Yeah.
Well, I understand more now after the last 30 days than I
Yeah.
have all these years. So we're taking ourselves off of that. We have this last control panel, but it's at the automation group. They will send us a quote of what it's gonna take to get the SCADA working on that and then to install it. After that, it will not, when our new pump station, it will not have proprietary controllers in it.
When these things fail, is there a common issue with that, or does it have anything to do with corrosion?
No, has nothing to do with corrosion. It didn't damage it as we were told it damaged it. Your battery backup, everything's a computer.
Right.
PLC, it's a computer. When you do a hard shutdown on your computer,
Mhm.
that can damage it. We all understand. So what happens when there's a power outage and the generator starts,
Yeah.
that battery backup in there keeps the computer on
Right.
so that the power comes back on.
Yeah.
When the battery dies, or when the battery backup dies, it fails. You don't have that. And what happens is it sent that into a hard shutdown on that computer. Within a few seconds, the generator started, it brought back power online. It tried to reboot itself and it couldn't. So, but that's what causes it. We have battery backups in every PLC, from the Wedeco to Sanitaire to the district office. We have battery backups. But that was a total failure of that UPS. And so when that generator started on that Monday to do its test run, that's when it tried to come back line and it got caught in that loop.
And now we know to just do a hard reboot.
No, well, now we know how to do a hard
Yeah,
reboot.
yeah.
So instead of calling Xylem, we wouldn't have had this problem if we called the automation group.
Just had to unplug and plug it back in?
In a certain sequence.
Oh, okay.
So Xylem unplugged it. The guys from Xylem, they unplugged it.
Yeah.
And went to reboot it back up, but they didn't do it in the right sequence.
So when this new Xylem controller's delivered, are we stuck with working with them for the next?
We're gonna be stuck with them because all of our pumps
Right.
are flight pumps. But we will not be stuck working with them as far as the controller portion goes.
So we'll
Pumps rarely fail.
So we'll just call the automation group and have them deal with stuff.
And the automation group, we won't be locked in with them because, like I said, it's not proprietary.
Right.
We could, like I said, go to another company that,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
So we're gonna go meet on that tomorrow in the Avalon pump station with Brian and I, and we'll get more information on the control panel now. There'll be a quote you'll have for next month, what it's gonna take for the automation group to come here and actually install it. I won't have to hire an electrical firm. They're all licensed electricians. That's what they do, our control panel. They build it and install it. So,
So that 100 and some, how much is that?
on what, that's the comments that you have. Or are you talking about that in front of you?
Talking about the control panel.
No, it's gonna be, it'll be north of 10,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it'll be north of 10,000, but it's not gonna
Not
be.
more than that. Okay.
I don't envision that, but
Okay.
I don't know how much R&D work they're having to do right now. So that'll all be part of the installation, be the same as what we were gonna pay them to install it.
Okay.
Covered the Ocean Highlands pump station. The main pump station generator, we had it serviced, we had load bank tested. They were supposed to inspect that radiator. And, I'm gonna find out, there's no way to inspect that radiator. You can't see in it, the way it's all bolted together, there's no inspection ports.
It's never
So,
been inspected before. We didn't know this before.
well, you don't normally, I mean, you look for signs of leakage or, you know, there's usually signs before a failure. And the guys had noticed that there was some metal
Okay.
stuff on the ground, some
Gotcha.
rusted stuff. That's the fins in between the tubes on the radiators. And those fins are a heat sink, but they're also like a support so it doesn't vibrate and crack. We have no leakage, we have no nothing. They load banked it, nothing happened. They're gonna send us a written recommendation to change it out. This radiator, just so you know, is $38,000. But they're saying, we don't know how long it'll last. It could last a day, it could last 10 years. Well, you have that same option when you put a brand new one in and you bolt it up. It can last a day, it can last 10, 15 years. So I'm waiting for their written, recommendations. But right now, I feel pretty comfortable with the amount that's laying on that they found on the ground. I'm not recommending that we change that radiator out anytime soon.
If it fails, is that catastrophic? What's that look like?
So if it
Just a slow
fails,
leak? What happens?
what we have to find out from Cummins, no, it won't be a slow leak.
Okay.
Well, you'll find the leak. So, if it loses the air cooler, is one of the radiators in there for the turbos, the engine will lose power. It won't have the air pushing in there to create all the horsepower. I don't know if a sensor will shut that down and how do we bypass it? So what we're going to be discussing with Cummins, what options do we have if the radiator fails? And how can we get it into some sort of limp mode? Or can we start it up, run the pumps, shut the generator back off? We'll have to have somebody there monitor it. Anyway, what's our backup plan here? And then also, what is the lead time to buy another generator? So that's the other part.
Another radiator? or
I'm
another
sorry, radiator.
Yeah.
No more
generators. 48 months. 48 months.
So, well, the good news, that one down there is not obsolete.
Yeah, okay.
Cummins still makes that generator.
You just wanted to
So-
see if we were listening.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
They are.
So anyway, I'll find out what the lead time is.
Okay.
But remember, you only have to run it while the power's,
Yeah.
so it's not like you're gonna be stuck with it. Well, depends on how many times the power fails out here, but,
Right.
yeah, I read that.
You got a new line coming.
Yeah, which they are working on,
Yeah.
so that will backfeed the other way. So, I think we have options. If the guys, we can be trained what to override and start the generator up. We only have to run the generator, even if it's out of water, we can run it for a few minutes. Pump down the wet well, and then, go ahead and run it on and off. We probably have to pay operators to be here throughout the power outage is all.
And is this something we can install our lovely backup generator to,
No.
yeah, okay.
So the generator, just so you know, the generator and you should all go look at it sometime. The generator is 12-cylinder. It's, I think, 980 kW, almost a meg. So the one out here is 150. One down there is almost 1,000.
Yeah.
It's not even gonna run 2 pumps.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
The average draw is a lot more on that.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. You would have to bring something in on a semi-trailer.
Yeah.
Was what you would have,
Yeah,
was
okay.
what you'd have to do. And I don't even know if they have a semi-trailer for that.
Yeah.
set.
Yeah.
So, and they're not one-off generators, it's just the power demand
Yeah.
on that one. That puts out enough power, it could probably light up Oceanside. So. No, I'm not saying bring your extension cord. Yeah.
I need to charge my phone.
Next article.
I started seeing Jerry grin over there. So that's where we're at, the main pump station. It did pass all of its tests, so it is good. The Netarts pump station replacement doors, they were supposed to be shipped the 20th of December. Sean checked back in with a Vortex door. They can't even get a ship date from the manufacturer out of Texas.
These stories are repetitive in some ways.
Well, and in my opinion, it's only gonna get worse. So we don't know, that's not a critical part of our pump station. So we don't know, in Vortex door right now, they're gonna go to upper management at the place where they ordered the doors. So
Just tag make yours.
I'm not gonna put that in Gary's head right now. The plant pump station has what's called a ProMag flow meter in it. So it is a magnetic one that's that's wrapped basically around the pipe. It's actually the flow goes through it. It has failed, and we have one on order, and we should be getting. It looks like the total cost. This includes having their tech come out and program it because it is electronic. So that's them coming out. That's the total invoice. As long as they find nothing else wrong, but we don't need to replace we don't have to replace the control panel on this one. It's still good. They're already okay with that.
And time frame on that?
Time frame on that is 20 working days. So a month.
Yeah.
It could be sooner. We already have some parts coming sooner than what we thought. We received an invoice of $409 today for part of that. So
And not having it offline for now, what's that mean?
we cannot read how much flow is coming back from the lagoons. We can't read how much flow is coming even from the office or anything up here.
So in a storm, highly wet conditions, it's a little bit of a problem.
So what we use that flow meter for is so we can see how much, we can adjust that for how much is coming back. And also we take that off of our I&I report because that's not inflow and infiltration. So if you get a large amount from a lagoon, you don't want DEQ or EPA counting that against you as bad leaky pipes. So it is important. It's not critical. We can run without it. It's not going to hurt any compliance other than you're required to have all of your equipment operational. So we are in the repair phase. All other pump stations operate without any problems. The treatment plants, the electrical problems, I said, those were fixed this week. And the guys have a list for electrician when he comes back. We just have at different pump stations. We try to, since he comes from the Salem area, Albany area, we try to group all of our stuff together. So it's just some minor fixes that we'll have. It tells you it was also a bad news. The EQ basin, our equalization basin at the end of the treatment basin, the level sensor has failed on that one. And what that is used for when we put it in flow, what we call flow control. Right now we're in manual mode, but in flow control, so when the flows go up, then it changes the valve and lets more fluid out. Or when the flows drop, it lets less fluid out through your do your disinfection through UV. So that one is, they have the level transducer in stock at Whitney Equipment, but they don't have the bracket. So, because that one's discontinued, it's obsolete. So they have to wait for the bracket to get here so they can mount it. If it doesn't get here by the 26th?
Yes, no, 28, sorry,
The
28.
28th, they'll bring us out a loaner and they'll put a loaner in it.
And this is the one that's 3,829.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is what I have been telling the board, that the maintenance, you're gonna start to see as the older the plant gets, there'll be more and more maintenance. Most of this equipment has lasted over 10 years. This is the original one that was put in 14 years ago. So it just, you're seeing it all basically this month, even though we've been working on it the last couple of months. And there will be other failures. That's why, I like to keep the capital resource and up with money. And number 4, I already told you that Brian and I are gonna go meet with West Tech. Brian will start to learn what it is to do construction, especially on a new project. So we'll get him up to speed on how we go about this planning process.
Was that, wetland thing?
So we have to do a wetlands check.
Right.
If you go by the federal wetlands designation of a wetland, what they do is they show.
Right, but I mean,
Flow.
has that been dealt with? Has that
No,
been done?
no, you just approved that last month,
Oh, okay.
and so we're on track. They've already hired the geotech firm.
Oh, okay, all right.
Now we're just setting up the schedule with them. The HVAC system. You've seen the attachments. I can't find anybody else that works on this particular AON industrial HVAC. The city of Tillamook said this is who they use, so I contacted them. And they're under like they refer to it as an IGA, but I don't know, because IGA is intergovernmental. This is a private company, so I'm not sure the term IGA actually fits. But the representative for that company is referring to them as IGA. As you can see, it's getting cold. We're having to put electric heaters in here. So there's no heater air conditioning in the lunchroom. Controllers are failing. We can go with just the controllers. But they're saying by today's analysis of that one's 2 tons too small for the size of the building and the way the environmental has changed. When that was put in, it didn't get as cold and it didn't get as hot. Well, now it's getting hotter, now it's getting colder. And now units just out there just working like it's working now, only it just can't keep up. So we were coming in the buildings usually in the morning without these heaters. It was down in the low 60s, 61, 62 degrees. So we get here. You can tell by all them packing their coats around. But these heaters have helped out quite a bit. So my question to the board is, this is a lot of money. It's $120,000 for all of it. I don't know what the auditor is going to say. There's not it's a replacement of an existing unit. So you'll reuse the same ducting, you'll reuse all the same wiring. I don't know how to get a comparison for a completely different unit or units. So we're not bidding a new job is what I'm saying.
So we're not legally required to have competitive bids that we choose between.
That's correct when it's an emergency repair or repairs like that. The last audit, the auditor and I didn't see eye to eye on that because some of this stuff is specialty and you can't go out and just get 3 competitive bids of anything over $50,000. So that's where I'm stuck. I can't pay somebody else that does the same work.
if you find somebody or make application to somebody to request a bid and they're non-responsive, that theoretically could still count towards whatever the decision.
Yeah, or if they say, we don't do that.
Ocean Air, who has been doing our work for us
Yeah.
until now, said this is beyond them. So,
So if you go to 3 places and get responses of, we don't do that. And, I think you're gonna have your paperwork in place for it.
Yeah.
and one other place I contacted, they wanted to tear it all out and put individual room, units.
Well, good, have them give you a bid, because then what you're doing is less than that.
Oh, it'll be a lot less.
Well, I'm just saying for the audit.
Okay, yeah, I can do.
What now?
There's another place that would do it, but would tear out all the ducting, and it would cost even more than this amount. He's kind of afraid the auditor.
That I guess
Like
each
that.
room would have its own.
Yeah, so I'm saying, get that bid so that you've got a more expensive bid than the one that you take.
What I'm running into is that, no, we don't do that.
Well, that
in
too.
this area.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know that's covered in the bidding.
I was
law.
gonna say, surely somebody does this. They may not come up here.
That's where this came from. The other one that we knew to put this system in is Portland Mechanical. They no longer do HVAC.
Yeah.
So when I called them, because they were the original installer, they don't do HVAC.
But, there are remote canneries that have HVAC systems that fly in specialists that repair those things when they fail because they need them to work. So there have to be people who can come and give us a bid. And I'm with Jerry that, you get a bid that's, it's going to be unreasonable, and then you can present that to the auditors, say, yeah, we did due diligence. And
It's not difficult to get unreasonable bids these days.
yeah.
Okay, problem solved.
So then we're gonna table this. I'll get a hold of this outfit and say we need another month before we can approve.
Yeah.
Is that?
And you can survive in the meantime with these things.
Yeah.
But this is like a filtration system too, right? It filters the air.
Yes, yeah.
So I personally, that's what I hope we get this dealt with soon. Because it's an employee health issue.
Well, this has a stack, I think, of 3 or 4 carbon filters that cleans the air. That's why you don't see dust build up everywhere in here.
So that part's working now?
Well, yeah, it's drawing in. It's just not drawing in enough. It can't keep up.
Yeah.
With the demand.
Yeah.
And we've noticed that over the last 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
Okay, so I will try to, I'll use the one from Ocean Air as a thing to no longer do it. And then I'll just see if I can get another, bid again. Have somebody else. Or estimate.
The company you said would tear everything out, get a bid from them.
The tear everything out.
You said there was one that was gonna replace all the vents and everything.
With local units, tear everything out.
Yeah,
Yeah, they weren't gonna tear anything out. They weren't even gonna take the old unit. They were just going to install room units.
oh, I see. I'm sorry. Did I hear wrong? Did you hear tear out?
No,
No,
I
I
thought it
don't
might
think
be
I said
tear.
tear. Did I say tear? Yeah, put you right down. No,
Okay, no, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if you've got another
Yeah.
option that is gonna be too expensive, go ahead and get a bid for it.
Okay. Number 6, so we have to replace the door decals on your trucks. The 2010 trucks had several scratches over since 2010. We need to get those, they're starting to rust the fenders. So E&E gave us a bid to, basically, they're gonna have to paint one side, which they're gonna have to do. They can't just go in and touch it up. Then remove the emblems, so they won't have new emblems come out. So, I just wanted the board to know
It
if
seemed
that's
like
okay to do that.
Yeah, it
It's
seemed like a
about
pretty-
19, yeah, that's, remember, that's painting half the truck.
yeah. It's
And
one
then
body
we
work.
can then have the emblems changed out. We're not getting rid of that truck anytime soon.
Yeah.
It's got the lift gate on it, yeah. It's just out 100,000 miles, but it's still got a lot of years left.
Yeah.
It won't if we let it rust out. Okay, so I'll go ahead, we'll contact Ian. They did say if we contacted them like tomorrow, it's gonna be 8 weeks before they can get it in. So I just need it in front of the board.
Okay.
That you guys, I don't really need you to officially approve it, but I just like to, if you would. The operator training, I think I
Yeah.
covered this last month. We are back out advertising for a training or a certified operator. We do have 4 applications in for the trainee position.
Good.
And
New ones?
yeah, we've got them in the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
And I hope they want the job.
Yeah, hope they show up.
Well, we did interview one from the previous, but after we interviewed them, decided to go out.
Yeah.
And you tell them straight out, right off the bat, that there's a UA involved, because,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, well, we tell them that, and they like to argue that, marijuana is legal, so you can't test me for that. And I said, well, alcohol is legal too, you test me for
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
So usually if they lead out that you're gonna UAM, they don't even fill out the application. So, which is fine.
I mean, if you're in the transportation industry, driving buses or trucks, you can be tested, even if it is legal or,
Yeah, it's a nonsensical statement.
yeah.
Well, other than that, our flow chart, as you probably looked at it, shows the wild ride we were on.
Yeah, it's
During
that.
during the spring season. Well, that's all I have. Board have any questions?
All right. So we're down in the old business. We've talked about the Avalon Pump Station project, I think.
Yes.
And we've talked about the pump station upgrades regarding the hotels.
Mhm.
And then we have workshop planning, which has not proceeded any further. I think we're about to run into redoing the budget for the coming year. So I don't, this thing, unless somebody has any other thoughts, it appears to me that workshop planning is sort of on hold, on an indefinite hold.
Well, can we revisit it? After the budget has been approved and
I would say no, because of what you just saw today on the district report and the
Yeah.
costs. We're gonna have to just have that discussion.
Yeah.
For the budget.
yeah, okay. That's fair.
So right now, we're working with getting a projection on where we're at with the other pump stations.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, clearly we have to budget for upcoming anticipated aging equipment.
because of the equipment being obsolete,
And
no
you've been-
longer being supported.
You've been telling us that for a while.
Well, now we're, right.
So the first question I have in regard to the budget, was it at the February board meeting that we came up with the plan for going through the budget as far as the steps, or was it the March meeting?
I don't remember.
Excuse me?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. You know, the schedule of events leading up to the budget.
We don't have a budget schedule.
I don't know right in front of me
So
right now.
we've been doing it in March. I really think that the board, we need to have a workshop and discuss the realities of where we're at and how we're gonna proceed.
Seems like it better be in February then.
Okay, the workshop.
Now, I think the board needs to be aware of what we're facing for budgetary and decide how we're gonna approach this. And I'm not saying that we need to raise rates and we need to do all this stuff right now to fix everything. I'm just saying that we're facing some real problems.
Well, I'll make an idea here. That next month, we could come in earlier for the board meeting
Okay,
That way it wouldn't take another day.
How much earlier?
I don't know,
I figured
whatever.
this was a day-long discussion, I think. Probably at least,
It's probably at least a few hours,
yeah,
if not
probably 4.
4
5,
hours.
We could have somebody cater a lunch.
I think 4 hours is a reasonable assumption on this, just to get your head around what we're facing. We could schedule it if you would like. When I bring the engineer over, we have to go down and do your walkthrough inspection for the new pump station. We could have the engineer available to ask, cost questions for repairs and stuff too. It's just an idea for a workshop. It's not, if you have questions, that's who I go to, is the engineers who, they're up on the cost of a lot of things. So,
Well, they could be available online.
yeah. I'm saying if they're already over here and we schedule a workshop, but let's schedule the workshop no matter if we can get anybody else in on it, because I think we need to have that serious discussion.
So.
Because we have manning the district, with labor. We have, issues with the aging treatment plant and the aging collection system. Now we have issues with getting water just to clean the sewer lines and maintain them. So, and I think that's all going to help us when we sit down and look at the
We
budget.
have a biosolid issue that's coming up that we're gonna have to figure out how to pay for at some point.
When I shut off the West Lagoon and go strictly to the East Lagoon, you figure you've got a 5-year clock at that point.
And I read an article down by Coquille, there was some ground they were using.
Oh, down Klamath Basin? Is that one?
This is another one,
Okay.
no more. So that's gonna be something that we're gonna have to deal with. The technology is gonna change.
Well, and
we have to figure out availabilities for February. Let's not do in here what we're gonna do in the workshop.
I know, we can go on all night.
So how would it work that we of course have to advise, because the public is entitled to attend since we have the board meeting. At the next board meeting, which would be 5:30, that we get together, at 1 o'clock? Would that work?
Yeah, 1 o'clock and then maybe
Work for
later,
me.
take a break
I could.
before the
make it.
board meeting.
Yeah, what's the date on that?
Offhand, I'm not too sure what the third Thursday will be in February.
So third Thursday is the 20th. And that should pretty much February should put us clear any more holidays that come up and whichever.
I don't see any conflict on the 20th for me.
That's our next scheduled board meeting.
Okay. So, and what I'm assuming is the only person that may or may not be able to attend is Jeff due to his commitments to the fire department. But then, if you want to start it, and I could provide some inputs. I don't know if we can hand that out, and if other people have some ideas to add to agenda items for that workshop. How would that be?
That'd be fine. I've still got what you did before sitting on my desk. I've looked at it a couple of times and didn't have
Start with that and
ideas.
modify it.
When Jim first brought this up, he had some great ideas, I thought, on subjects that I felt can mainly cost future planning and things like that. So, yeah, I think that's where we need to start, because I think that's the biggest.
Yeah, the
elephant
one
we're
the one you forgot about is your successor.
Well,
Just being difficult.
Well, that was, it was a succession planning,
Yes,
and that includes everyone, including board members.
well, yeah, absolutely,
And that,
absolutely.
board members as well as budget committee members. So
Did we,
that's,
did you just say 1 o'clock? Is that,
1 o'clock.
that's just,
But your biggest priority right now is what we're facing going down the road.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice. And I know Jerry said let's not do the meeting now, but it would be nice to have
Nobody listens to me.
an overall sense of what numbers we're looking at and then try to figure out
Absolutely.
in how many years you're trying to do that and so forth and so on. But
and what perceivable down the road that we may not even be thinking about, that's gonna be right in our face. Rather than getting blindsided.
Well, I'm pretty good at figuring out what.
No, I know you are.
What I'm not good at is getting the news that this is obsolete and that's obsolete here.
Well, I mean, the news that the trend is towards non-proprietary.
Yeah.
But I made a thing last week, but why didn't our engineers tell us about this trend earlier, that their other clients were having it? But you said it hasn't going that long. So,
No, this is something recently, believe it or not, flight pumps are pretty popular in the state. So this is something that's happened in the last couple of years.
well, and Xylem may change their business model if a lot of people run away from them.
So we've kind of covered workshop planning then.
Okay.
Right, new business. We have a special election coming up in May. There will be 3 positions, 2 of which Simeon and Jeffrey are filling out 2 years.
Yeah.
And this hopefully will run again. You and I are 2 years into our 4-year.
Yeah.
And
I-
Jerry is a 4-year.
not if we're gonna do workshops.
Excuse me?
Wait a minute.
You can't.
Yeah, I'll throw my
Just wanted to
a draw as an opponent.
make folks aware, and there's this other sheet, and I think you need to follow up.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, we need to find
Yeah.
by whatever date she told us here.
Yeah, it's like March.
20th is your last.
Yeah,
day.
between February and March 20th.
And
And I think there's a $10 fee that avoids,
Or go out and get 25 signatures.
that avoids the signature list.
we have the
Man of peep.
SDAO annual conference in Bend. I think it's more information. If somebody's interested in attending, Aaron can provide more information.
Yeah, I found it to be very useful last year when I was in Seaside.
The
I don't-
lodging is already, it maxed out last month.
Yeah,
So you have to find somewhere else in Bend to stay to go to.
yeah, okay. Well, I don't want to go.
Yeah,
And I went last year, it was during.
I went twice and it is horrible, that weather.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, if you enjoy driving in the snow and ice, a good idea, go for it.
but I'd be willing to go again, but I just soon it'd be Seaside.
well, if it's over there this year, next year it'll be Southern Oregon, and then
Yeah.
after that, it'll be back up here.
Anyway, if anybody has any interest, Aaron can provide you with more information. No correspondence.
I have a new thing that we were gonna talk about, post shutting down Springbrook for payments.
Oh, that's right.
Thank you.
What's that?
We're switching over to the cloud. What day?
Well, we're gonna start on the 23rd and all the following next week.
So on the 23rd, will be earlier. We'll put it on the website.
This one?
Yes, this month. Springbrook just notified Aaron today, I think it was.
Our schedule.
Our schedule.
Schedule.
So we're gonna shut down. We're not taking any payments. I told the staff to waive any late payments for January, just because people are gonna get caught off guard. And I don't want the office to sit there and sort through who pays and pay, monthly.
Now, why are they?
Because we're switching over to the cloud.
Our payments.
Our Springbrook, everything is switching, all of it's switching over to the cloud.
We're not changing them though.
No,
Now we're-
no, we're not changing them, but you have to be completely off of everything when they do this.
Okay.
So nobody will be able to make a payment.
And when does it come back up?
The first.
1st of February.
1st of February. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
So it's
did you
almost
put it on the website today?
I did.
So we already posted it to the website. How long the district's office taking payments will be down while during this changeover period.
Do we have a lot of people that pay monthly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Shoot me a little blurb. I can stick it in the Oceanside.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. If anybody in Netarts that, I don't know if you have connections or committee
Newsletter.
group, public meetings that you can announce.
There is a new group.
Okay.
So, and I will shoot you that information.
Try to get the word out as fast as we can, because this came on as pretty darn quick.
Sunday. I can get that Sunday.
I'll email you tomorrow.
All right. Anything else that we're missing? Great, thank you. No correspondence, no executive session. We're
6:50.
adjourned at 6:55.
6:50.
Thank you very much.
Okay.